like that about Trump. He was an average person telling it how it is.
About this, I'm obviously running in a particular party. I am running as a Republican, but that does not mean that I like blindly just go, oh, everything Republicans do are always right, and I will never criticize anything any other Republican ever says. That's absurd. Like,
Do we really want to hear this?
He always has a crying teardrop.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Jim, you see what you made her do? You made her walk
I don't
out.
want to hear it.
Lefties can't cope. He probably grabbed his son's gun.
I have a question for Carolyn. Carolyn, hold on. I have a question for you.
Yeah, don't run
It's
now.
not political.
Don't run now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is Dougie's Political Hour. Jim is back. Carolyn is back. Are you going to stay for the whole show this time?
I don't know. I guess it depends how insane you
How
can
patient
become.
we can be.
What does it depend on, Jim?
Insanity.
Insanity.
Well, I stay crazy. I prefer crazy.
Yeah. Well, like you say, we're all artistic in some way.
Yeah,
Carolyn, do
general.
you believe that we're all artistic in some way?
Autistic.
I wouldn't use those terms. No.
Because that's what Jim
It's a
likes.
generic term.
We're all
There are
traumatized.
many,
We're all bent a little bit. We're some more than others. That's all I could say.
The mind travels in many directions, and it's you can't get a perfect brain. Not even that movie. What was that movie called? The Beautiful Mind or something like that, or the
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
With
Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful
like-
Mind is the movie
Is that
about
the
the
movie?
Princeton professor that
I think so. I didn't see it. I heard it's pretty good.
he was a brilliant man and
Right,
he had
right.
schizophrenia.
Yeah,
I
he's
should
probably
say he
autistic,
had-
just like Einstein was Asperger's
He had
syndrome.
he had visual hallucinations. They call them
Like
fear.
Democrats.
Here we go.
Well, I mean, they
I
have
don't know
have
any.
delusions. You got to admit that,
Everybody's delusional once in a while.
right?
Some more than others.
All right,
Yes,
so
the Republicans keep it quiet.
yeah, they
So
do.
you said that you made a statement like not before we started that Trump is just like an average guy.
Yeah,
No.
what I mean by that is like he's
What
like
do you mean by that?
he's like you and I. We speak our mind. We know what's going on
Right.
in this country.
Ah.
He's open.
And he was the only one to step up and say how it is.
Yes.
No, I don't think
That's
I
correct.
disagree on this one point. Some people can BS better than others. And he can really BS.
Well, he's done that throughout his whole career.
There you go.
Yeah,
So,
that's how we got through life.
do you want a president like that? I mean, that person should be on a pedestal. Not that you want to put humans on a pedestal, but
Yeah, but
morally,
they're not perfect people.
philosophically.
Well, what do you?
Of course,
But
they're not perfect, but you want them at least to be able to speak intelligently to the truth,
yeah,
and not say,
that's basic.
I'm the greatest and everybody's the greatest, and if they're not the greatest, they're a piece of poo poo.
Well, no, he is a positive
don't
person.
need that.
But he's not a crybaby. And look at Joey Teardrops. He does cry all the time. He's always nothing's beautiful about him.
no.
I see no beauty when I see Joey Teardrops talk.
I don't want
speaks
beauty.
from a very like neutral to negative tone,
Yeah, he talks loud and then he lowers.
and he's very rude too. To his workers, his employees or whatever they are.
You mean he's a crotchety old man like most?
Yeah, he's kind of nasty, and that's reported that they even know that. Even the Democrats admit to that.
Oh yeah, they do.
He's a little impatient.
Yeah, he blows up at people.
Do you do that?
Not me.
No?
Only with you.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Sure. And violent.
So let's get to the question
And your
Carolyn brought up off the air. 35 is too young to run for president. She thinks it should be 50.
It should be
Jimmy,
older.
where do you stand
I
on
would
that?
say in the 40s. I would say in the 40s because you need experience. You need a background. You do need knowledge. Now, if you're an unusual person at 35, like how old was Kennedy? John F. Kennedy?
36, I believe. He was
He was unusual. Unusual playboy.
Yeah, but I disagree with the word experience.
Well,
'Cause-
he was in the military.
Because they said, oh, this is Hillary's time to be president. She has so much experience. She ran for senator.
Right.
She
Right.
She was
could have been
Secretary of
VP.
Secretary
She
of
was
State.
Secretary of State. Now it's her time to be president. But her experience is bad experience. She didn't really do a good job in those offices she held.
No?
No,
Not really.
How do you know?
Well,
Benghazi?
Benghazi was one of the biggest failures.
Her
And also
policies that she wanted?
her loss of
Yeah, people do.
files. Her
People
file
do.
disappeared. Like where did 30,000 files go?
Oh, so that's a topic I'd like to make
You know-
an address about files and secrets and deleting
Yeah,
things.
where'd she do with
There's
them?
another good book I read called
But you think-
Uncensored.
Oh yeah,
It's a new book.
I saw that.
I should have the names of people, but they're not in front of me. You could look it up, Uncensored. It's all talks about the secrecy of our government and how they really haven't unclassified anything since the 60s, maybe a little bit in the 70s. And the further on we go, the more they just classify everything. Secret, top secret, blah blah blah.
How about aliens?
So that no one knows what's going on, because in the past maybe they'd classify something for 10 years or 20 years or whatever, like how to make an atom bomb and things like this that you would want classified. And then they would open them up and the intellectuals and the journalists were able to view papers and report about what actually was going on in hindsight. And now they're just not everything's censored. Nothing. In fact, they said that Trump said everything I say is top secret, so that nothing was put out there as to what was going on. Nobody knows what's going on. So that's an area of contention.
Right. With a
The
lot of
secrecy.
people, it should be,
And the
and with a
amount.
lot of people, it shouldn't be. You know, it's a give and take thing. There are people who can't handle reality.
Like Joe Biden.
They can't.
Well, whose reality though? Depends on whose reality.
Well, if it's real reality, I'm talking about honest reality, not
honest reality.
Well, yes, people who are honest with what happened, occurred at the time. You know, and then you got people who are sociopaths who will just tell stories and lie.
Well, that's
You know.
one of the reasons to uncover government documents so that you know honestly what was going on, and maybe
Yeah.
you'd be able to say, "Hey, that person's nuts."
And we all know the government hides stuff from us.
Or not. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's true.
Your own police department in town.
Again, if you're just
But that's not. There's a problem with that, and a totalitarian issue is don't like you. We could understand not putting out how to build an atom bomb, over the course of the history of last century. We can understand that, but
Which is safer than a
where did the money
hydrogen.
go from the World Trade Center?
who knows?
Where did the gold go?
Yeah. Where did he?
That was there.
Did we really go on the moon?
Yeah, were we
I don't
on the
know.
moon or not?
I don't
Doesn't matter
think
to
so.
me.
I don't know. They say you can't pass the sun; you'll burn up. So how the hell did they get to the moon? I don't know.
Again, if you're just
mystery.
joining us, this is Dougie's Political Hour. The Doug Strava Show is brought to you by the Monkey Bar and Grill. Swing on by. We got Jim. We got Carolyn. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we have much more to get to. We'll be right back. Dougie and the Boys is every Thursday at 3:15 p.m. We'll be right back. Whatever. Get customers involved.
Wednesday night bar talk.
Wednesday night bar talk.
No, Jimmy's the idiot. with hot takes.
Jimmy's.
I'm yeah, if I spit hot takes, he assists a game. No matter how many games you
36 games.
and the All-Star break, and now a little bit now they're playing really good. especially.
Hold on. Who's got the leverage tonight?
Now, 5-2. Leverage is all you.
I got the leverage.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on Dougie's Political Hour. We got Jim, we got Carolyn. So, Carolyn, a lot of people want to know, why did you walk off last time?
Well, it got to a point where nothing needed more to be said, and I didn't want to go into that conversation. I was talking about Hitler, I guess, was the...
Yeah, that was the topic of conversation.
Well, it wasn't the topic, but my friend Jim wants to excuse Hitler's actions. And...
No, I just want to make a point. It's very clear.
No, it's not that clear.
Hitler.
See, you brought this up, and now we have to talk about it.
Am I supposed? Well, I'm telling you that one thing is obvious: is Hitler,
didn't kill
Jim
anybody.
Jones, Charlie Manson, and Joe Biden never killed anyone.
And what's the answer to that?
They're
That's
all
why we have-
murderers.
That's why we have rules.
Without touching one person.
Yeah. So what? So you have a problem with that? There's
Well,
laws
the
called
president of the
accessory to
United
murder.
States is supposed to be a peaceful, loving person.
Well, their policies
Ethical.
intact
Are they?
is what did it.
Well, Trump was, but I know Biden isn't, and the Democrats aren't.
Their policies intact is what did it.
They always turn people's stomachs internationally, economically and militarily.
All right, so
They
I'm gonna bring this up. Would
Shoot.
you say it's better to have someone like Trump, where he brought peace within his strength, and how he basically told like Putin, if you do this, I'm going to do that, while Joe Biden lets people walk all over him?
Well, yeah, he stands up like a man instead of a little coward, as Bush. Bush, he's a coward.
Who? Trump?
George Bush. Joe Biden is, he's a little like, he always looks like he's crying. Joey teardrops he always has his eyes like this.
Here we go again, Carolyn.
No, he makes ad hominem
I
attacks all
tried
the
to
time.
make peace.
So what? Did you ever look at yourself in the mirror?
He's always crying on the microphone.
Well, look at
You
your
don't see,
look at you in the mirror and see what you look like.
I'm not the president. I'm
Doesn't
just a
matter.
stupid jerk off.
Doesn't matter.
There's a difference. Being a
What's-
stupid jerk off and being the president, there's a difference. He's
Well,
supposed to be
this-
refined. He's supposed to sell himself as a president.
Well, that's
He
exactly what
doesn't
we.
sell himself as a
He
president.
doesn't have to be. He's got 80 years of experience on the job. He probably knows more about
He has
what
done
goes
nothing
on
in
in
the 48
politics than
years in
anybody.
Congress,
that. Very well may be true. Maybe that's how he survived.
and he loves black people.
He doesn't have to be.
Well,
he's
Carolyn,
he's from Delaware.
Carolyn,
the first
how do you-
state of the union.
how do you think we could get peace in the world?
Yes.
I love that question. I am so glad you asked. Castrate all the men and put tape over their mouth.
Oh
I
boy,
think maybe that's one way. We're
within a
talking-
political area.
I saw a YouTube on this guy was talking about that. He said men's brain. He was talking about the difference of men's brains and women's brains, and how women's brains are geared toward love and sharing and helping and the more positive points of life.
Well, some men are like that.
This is generic. Yes, some men are very like that, much more than women. But he goes, men brains are different. They're wild. They're wired for like anger and fighting and dominance, and so our brain is so primitive compared to where we are in society, in the world, and the numbers that we have.
So would you say
So
change will happen when you have a woman president?
it can't. It's not a one person. Well, unless Jesus comes
It's not a-
back, it's
Gender,
not a one.
it's not a gender really issue.
It's not.
No,
a
I
one
know that,
It's an
but-
person.
aptitude issue. It's a
It's not a
You
one
never know
person
where you could see the
decision.
difference.
It's not a one unless that person wants to say, all weapons, creation of all weapons and fighting is now, either you stop now or we'll zap you from one of our satellites, and everybody who is aggressive gets zapped. Is it Germany or Scandinavia? There's some European country where you can't talk badly about another person, or you get arrested. It's like a defamation.
Yeah,
thing.
that's a
Well,
dictatorship.
North Korea or China.
Negative
or,
things.
Well, yeah, there's of
We
course.
blab our
You gotta
mouths all
behave.
constantly. So peace on earth. That's a change of heart.
So when do you think
That's a
people will
change of
become
heart.
mature? That's
Wait,
what
I want to finish my sentence.
Go ahead.
It's not only a change of heart from the powers that be, the economic powers, because you have to realize that the weapons industry makes a lot of money, and that's what the deal is. So unless we have a huge, a global change of heart about spending money on weapons, we're a long, long way off, I hate to say.
Then nothing changes.
And nothing changes.
So do you think we should spend money in other countries? Like give billions of dollars to Ukraine and
Iran.
Iran
I
and
think it's evident now that we all have to come together and help each other. But
well,
far
it
as
supplies the
humanitarian
military
aid,
wars.
yeah, humanitarian aid, absolutely. Any other kind of
Well,
aid, I'm sorry, let the rich businessmen deal with it. I don't want to pay for that. I'm sorry. They're
So
all
do you-
crazy. as
So
far as
now
I'm
that we
concerned.
don't have a two-state situation going on over Israel. and-
Well,
and
okay.
the-
Yeah, let me
and
finish.
trying to think of their names. Filipinos, I was going to say. It's the
Palestinians.
Palestinians. And they say no more two-state. That's it. They had their two-state.
Who said that?
Many people.
But the ones who count?
Many people. No, many people speaking are saying that.
Well,
I
My
listen
other-
to
my-
television. I listen to radio.
My-
I listen to
the last thing
I
I
hear
read was
people
that
that
the
are
UN
known.
the UN said they wanted them to come to an agreement and bring the
Yeah, I
and brought the
don't think
two
that can
the UN brought the two-state system back up for negotiation,
You got
and
Hezbollah.
the US denied that solution and would
You
not
can't
approve.
have a solution.
Yeah,
and the
well,
and the UN
not,
is
not if you want to
to.
continue
Do
to
you think
have
the UN
arms
has a
money
purpose?
being spent.
Not really. It's kind of like the World Health Organization.
It's just been a gang of people that just loiterers.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the UN? Have you ever participated in one of their summits or their
I've
convocations?
heard some online.
Jimmy is
Oh,
more of a
you've heard. Have
Jimmy.
you ever read their documents? They got lots of documents there.
I don't want documents. I want solutions. Thank you.
Have you ever read any of their solutions? Have
Jimmy-
you ever read
I
the
want
human,
experience
the
solutions. I don't
Declaration
wanna
of
read.
Human Rights
I don't
that they
wanna
have that they have printed? Yeah, you don't read. You could probably get a program to read it to you.
That's all.
They have a
chat.
Declaration of Human Rights. You should you
there's
should read
plenty
it
of human
sometime.
rights in Ukraine. You can go there.
Jimmy is more of a COS guy.
Convention of State. Thank you. And everybody should be in.
So how do you get more people to the COS?
You get people who should be interested. My water disappeared.
Have you ever been to the UN, Doug?
No. Wait,
Oh, you should go.
that's in New York City, right?
One of them, yeah, or
Don't
Geneva.
go.
$20 question. Where is the other UN headquarters?
Isn't there one in
First
Baltimore?
Avenue.
Baltimore?
It's on First
Isn't
Avenue.
there one in Maryland?
A good
No.
question. I don't.
UN?
No, there's something in Maryland.
Bethesda?
I don't know what it is.
There's military.
National
bases.
Institute of Health?
I'm not sure what it is, but they have flags outside the building, and it's multiple flags.
Okay. The flag of the UN?
I don't recall. I haven't been to Baltimore in years. Again, if you're just joining us, this is Dougie's Political Hour with Jimmy and Carolyn. Carolyn is still here, so we thank you for that. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we have much more to get to. Whatever. Get customers involved.
Wednesday night bar talk.
Wednesday night bar talk.
No, Jimmy's the idiot. With
Yeah,
hot takes.
Jimmy's
Yeah, advice for hot takes. He assists a game. No matter how many games you
36 games.
and
The All-Star break, and now a little bit now they're playing really good.
Hold on. Who's got the leverage tonight?
No, 5-2. Leverage is all you.
I got the leverage.
for the Super Bowl.
Heck,
That little
hold
hope
on, hold on,
going
hold on.
to the
Listen.
Super
Hold
Bowl.
on, because that's not what Rogers said. Rogers said, I just care about winning the MVP. I don't care about winning.
No matter, I don't have to worry about my feelings to understand that.
And I was like, oh god, how do I stop this? So I
Look at that water behind me, James.
Jesus says in the scripture, they need to live their experience of their life.
I like that about Trump. He was an average person telling it how it is.
About this, I'm obviously running in a particular party. I am running as a Republican, but that does not mean that I like blindly just go, oh, everything Republicans do are always right, and I will never criticize anything any other Republican ever says. That's absurd. Like,
Do we really want to hear this?
He always has a crying teardrop.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Jim, you see what you made her do? You made her walk
I don't
out.
want to hear it.
Lefties can't cope. He probably grabbed his son's gun.
I have a question for Carolyn. Carolyn, hold on. I have a question for you.
Yeah, don't run
It's not
now.
political.
Don't run now.
How can you talk this about something that you've never experienced?
So Carolyn and Jim were arguing off the air, which is great. We're back on
We're dialoguing. We don't argue.
dialoguing, arguing, same thing. So we're back on Dougie's political hour. We got Jim, we got Carolyn. Jim, you got anything for us?
Well, between the monies, the attitudes, the philosophies, and the religions, and the hatred towards Israel, I have no idea why colleges, professors, and Democrats love the side of the SS, Nazis. They like that side to be able to punish the Jews, which, I understand hatred towards somebody who's better than you are, and you can't do what they're able to do. And the enviness and the jealousy manifests in the mind, and you can hate that person, thing, or culture because they're successful and you're not. And that's around the world. So many countries that are not successful.
Well, you believe that public schools should be defunded, correct?
Yes, but the schools there are funded by Hamas and the Hezbollah to teach the young children in Palestine to hate Jews from a very baby age, 5 years old.
Yeah, because this has been going on for decades.
Long time. So they grow up sick like that. They're sick. They don't have proper education. So you have a society like that of, I don't know, hundreds
Well,
of thousands.
the college system here teach you to hate police,
Yep.
hate America.
Because they're smart. That's why they're smart people. And you know how smart people are. They're just know-it-alls, and they just are supreme beings.
Carolyn, you have anything to respond?
About which
What?
topic?
Supreme being of the educated.
What Jimmy is saying.
About the educated.
About education. Well, there's a huge push to defund education. People don't want to pay for other people's kids being educated, like somebody paid for our education.
Yes,
Which is
shekels.
ridiculous, because an ignorant population is very expensive and very radical.
But today we have an
I
ignorant
believe.
society.
Well, yeah,
Do you
we
think the
do.
kids today are smart? Do you really think they're smart?
Depends on what.
Come on,
What
answer.
What's your definition of smart?
Well, very good. So why
If
would
they
you
know
say
how
that?
to grow
Why would
food,
you
they're,
say something like
in
that?
my mind, if they know how to grow food, then they're smart. If they know how to stitch up a broken leg, then they're smart.
These
every-
kids only know how to get
every-
a new cell phone.
Everything is different these
They don't get a
days.
new bike. They don't get a new football.
But to defund
They don't get a new
education,
basketball or frisbee.
so I responded to something online that was about providing funding for for religious
Religious studies, CCD.
education choice, I guess. Having a choice and have it funded.
Or where do you guys stand on school choice?
This is fine when your majority of schools are Christian schools. But what happens when the majority of the country becomes Muslim, let's say, and they want Muslim schools funded, the same schools that you say are teaching people to kill each other? Then what do? So that's a conundrum.
So you disagree
Depends on.
You disagree with Jim to defund public schools because public schools has all backgrounds from Christian, Jews, Muslim.
Have you ever lived in a country that doesn't have public schools?
No, I have.
You?
Yes, I have.
What? Where?
When I went to
Yeah.
southern Mexico.
Southern Mexico. She lived there 5 years, I think.
You did?
When I
She lived anywhere.
When I went
Field.
to substitute teach in the inner city, that's almost like having no school at that time.
No, reality. Let's stick to reality.
You can't. One of the fundamental things of the human brain is its plasticity to learn, and when you're not learning, your plastic melts.
Carol, people aren't
Your
learning
brain
today.
melts.
They go to school and they're just there to be present.
And you want to defund more schools? That's the point. You can't defund schools. It will be a horrible situation. Do I think schools can change and be improved? Absolutely, without doubt. I cannot believe they're using the same methodology they've used for thousands of years and keeping kids locked up in a classroom
They have not
all day long.
improved.
Crazy.
Their curriculum is the same for 500 years. Before this
I'm reading
country's been-
I'm reading this book on the history of the Jesuits. and you fix your mic.
My mic.
And the history of the Jesuits and how they became like so prolific. Can't say the word.
Plurific.
They're out. That's not the word. And throughout the world in such a short period of time, and once they settled on what they were going to do, what they did was establish schools and started teaching. But they were men who went to the University of Paris, which allegedly was one of the highest Western institutions for its time. So they were well versed in all the arts and music and philosophy and besides religion, and then whatever else, science and astronomy. So
you have to look at the majority of family.
I just want to finish my sentence.
Yeah,
And what
is it
came
going
out
somewhere?
of those institutes? We're talking about 1200s, 1300s, 1400s, 1500s. What happened after the 1400s, the dark, and the 1300s, the dark ages? What happened? Can anybody tell me?
They're still walking in bare feet.
The flourishing of the Renaissance happened. There were schools teaching, not teaching all of this. And some rich people, yes, and middle class people, merchants' children, yes, and the poor they were teaching. So that they were creating, when you go to Italy, you will see the creation of the architecture and the music and the painting.
Laborers, mainly laborers.
Yes, but they were
artisans and blocks and bricks and stones and paintings and sculptures.
It's called the Renaissance for a reason. So
Yeah.
anyway, I think education is definitely needed, and I think it needs to be improved. It needs 180 change.
All right. The thing is, the fantasy's been completed.
Maybe he'll work.
The fantasy's been completed. And
Now,
you
what
can't
fantasy?
stretch it. How far can you stretch a rubber band? A 3-inch diameter rubber band. How
What
many
fanta-
miles can you stretch that?
What fantasy?
The fantasy of the creation. As Democrats would say, progressive. What's progressive?
Educating children is a fantasy.
What's progressive?
We're talking about educating children.
Progressive is an inanimate thing. You can't touch it. You can't even. There's
Well-
nowhere you can get. It doesn't exist.
Well,
so the whole thing is through life.
What's the progressive?
We worked hard to get a toilet bowl going, even though they had aqueducts in Greece and Italy. But just to get a toilet bowl to function right, like fill and flush. That's the period where we work to. Okay, the fantasy's completed. We even got a car. Ford built a car. Do you know that? He built a Model T.
Oh, she drives one, so I assume she knows.
Well,
yeah, she drove.
Many people had engines in
Tempo.
cars and
5-speed shift tempo.
in fact, electric cars. There was a map put
Now,
on.
is that fantasy done? Oh no, we got Teslas now. What was a deeper fantasy? But it's the same thing. 4 wheels and you get from A to B. The fantasy's completed. Okay?
I don't know about that.
Paintings are pretty much completed.
So what do you want to just, let's.
Well, the thing is, how far can you stretch a rubber band?
The band has been stretched so far that they don't need human beings on the planet anymore. They have created AI, they have created robots, and as soon as they find one to wipe the poop out of your ass when you're old,
it's a stale life.
Then we'll be gone.
It's a stale life of
and that will be very sad.
Yeah, it's a very boring, wealthy life.
Yes, it will be very boring. I've lived a wealthy life, kind of, sort of.
It's a boring. Even the
I've lived
poor
in
are
a wealthy life.
As I say,
very boring.
If you don't owe the banks anything, or your friends or your family anything, you are wealthy. So if you're living in the street and you don't owe the banks money or anybody else, you're wealthy.
Yeah.
But
as long as you get food to eat.
Over time, that might not be possible that you won't owe anybody money because the price of things could go out so far out of hand that you will have to.
You still won't owe because people just lose everything. The future
they'll probably kill each other for whatever they can get.
Lose your clothing.
They'll kill each other.
Future.
They'll kill. Oh, good. I get to walk around naked. I like that idea.
Oh yeah, that's a fashion.
As long as I'm in the nice warm sun.
Put you on the beach.
So we're going to take our last commercial break, and then we have our final thoughts segment. Carolyn is still here. We love that. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. The Doug Serravo Show, which is brought to you by the Monkey Bar and Grill. Swing on
Do you
by.
realize the fantasy is completed? That's what it is. It's just a fantasy. People are creative, and they create and create. How many camera types can you have? You have digital cameras, right?
Yeah.
Well, how many digital cameras? Today they're still working on better, faster cameras. I know somebody does it. Yeah. Special cameras, high speed, so high speed that I don't know. It takes volumes of information to take it down. These are super high speed cameras. Very expensive.
Again, the Doug Serravo Show, which is brought to you by the Monkey Bar and Grill. Swing on by. We will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Doug Serravo Show, which is brought to you by the Monkey Bar and Grill. You're watching an episode of Dougie's Political Hour. Carolyn, do you have any final thoughts before we head out?
I wanted to tell you about this book. The name of the book was Matthew Colony, The Declassification Engine, What History Reveals About America's Top Secrets. Very good book. Not an easy read, but if you get it out of the Bloomfield Library, I made check marks in the most important parts. Don't tell anyone. It was very
Who knows?
good.
They might be listening.
They're very good. Yeah, I'm sure they're all listening. That's for sure. Final thoughts. Pray for the world. Pray for peace.
Amen.
Pray for a change of hearts and metanoia in many souls of the powerful.
My prayers would be self-reflection. Please look at yourself, know who, what, and how you are as a human being. We're all beings, meaning we're all existing in time. And the supreme being is what people call God. And the supreme being is giving us time in the body that was a gift to us. We have no right to destroy our bodies. We have no right to criticize people's bodies.
Your body,
And-
my body.
And unfortunately, the minds are a part that we criticize a lot more than bodies. But the mind of people, they don't see themselves. They pretty much just react instantly without a thought. And like they go to a voting box, and then just say, RRRDDD, and they don't even know the people
Yeah.
or any
They
of
vote
the
for the team.
policies. They don't care. They just want to vote. They're American. They want to vote. Pieces of
Carolyn, do you have to respond to that?
What can I say? Can you think about
mindless people.
when I was
We got 'em.
young? When I was younger, I remember the council people running for council, and there usually were very many people running for council. Would knock on your door, give you a pot holder, talk a little bit about what you're going on. and-
Lives.
I don't. In my ward this time, nobody's even running against the one person who's already on
Yeah.
the council. So, that's like unheard of
Mhm.
when I was growing up. So our ability to participate with all this communication going on has been stunted. They probably should have a minimum amount of votes.
That
But
is important. Communication. You can't communicate with human beings.
The-
I find that most difficult with the opposite tribe called the Democrat Party, the leftists. I can't communicate with them.
Oh yeah, we
There's
see
no-
it.
you can't sit down with one and have a decent conversation without them.
with who?
A lip. I can't. I
Oh,
can't
so
sit
like,
down.
Well, it's very difficult to have a conversation with you in any regard.
Yeah, I was about to say we see it with you guys.
Well, I'm just very forward. I'm an extrovert. I'm not a tightwad introvert.
Well-
I'm an extrovert. And I'm obnoxious, thank God. And,
Nobody enjoys talking to the obnoxious people
well,
who
Donald
don't
Trump
wanna
enjoys what I say.
does he?
He's
Does he know you?
obnoxious. He's eccentric.
I'm
He's
wondering-
what I've
Are
always
you-
was.
Now I'm wondering if you're really like sane.
I'm Donald the Second.
Oh God.
I think you said Carolyn reminds you of Trump.
In many ways, because she's very stubborn,
Doug,
childish,
trying to
immature.
fuel the fire, huh?
They're both immature.
Yeah. I've come to the realization I'm
And-
very immature.
And there's a level. See, when we're born, maturity is low and sin is high. And as you grow up and develop, you're supposed to bring past the 50% mark. Sin down.
Wait, so
and
that makes no
maturity
sense
up.
to me. You say that you and Carolyn are complete opposites.
Right.
No,
So how does
not really
Carolyn?
complete opposites.
How does Carolyn remind you of Trump? If 5 seconds ago you just said you were Donald Trump.
Because we're alike in many opposite ways. See, you may like the color blue.
We
and
have history.
She may like the color red. But you both enjoy your colors and you're both color insane. Because I may like purple.
Well, like we both
I
like to
think
work
you're-
on cars, but he knows what he's doing. I'm just learning.
Yeah.
I can read the manual.
What
He
is it?
can't.
It's stubbornness of philosophies. See, we all have our own philosophy of looking at how the government works. And
Yeah.
how people work. I'm interested in human behavior and psychology. So I see
And
all
manipulating
around me.
that.
I analyze people. It's like a sickness. I'm sick. It's like, you know, I'm sick, you know, and I analyze people. I analyze her all the time, and I catch her all the time
Catch me what?
in your ways of love, in your behavior.
Thank you. And you love me anyway,
And
though. Despite my
and Doug
faults.
and James, you know, I read you all.
Despite my
And
faults,
I'm not
you
to
still
be
love me.
critical or anything. It's just that I see and I understand the scope of
So that's his
the family of
OCD.
Guys, this was a great episode,
I wish
actually.
I mean, right now I'm writing a letter. I'm a foster parent, to a foster kid.
Oh, yeah, we've
That's,
heard this story before.
Yeah, he's going away this month because he seemed to want to go for the past 3 months, lowering the rent fee. I'm the landlord, and he's lowering the rent fee. So I said, "This is your last month." He seems like he wanted to go.
Yeah.
To Elizabeth to see his mother because his mother lives down there. So I got on
He couldn't
Craigslist.
he couldn't
In 2
handle it
hours, I
anymore.
found a place for him. 2 hours.
Nice.
Emailing people, you know, blah, 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 you know, still available. We went down and he signed yesterday, Friday.
Nice.
He signed yesterday.
Carolyn wrote a letter to Biden.
I wrote a letter to Biden.
And I got a letter to
Actually, it was an email.
to this person's
You
mother.
know, it's very hard to find an
A report
email
about
for a senator, a state senator, your own senator. You have to go on their website and fill in their forms because they're so friggin' secure, crazy. You can't,
Yeah.
There's no email because then they'd have to have somebody read it, right?
Uh-huh.
But I did find one. President at whitehouse.gov, I think it was, or who knows where that email went.
Yeah,
And
that's
then the
if
other
you
one was
actually can
comments at whitehouse.gov, but that didn't work.
Yeah.
And then well, I thought it was a good letter. And I brought, you know, I just told them don't spend our money and our working class people. Don't spend
I'm
our
surprised
money
the Democrats are speaking
on
up
that
against
war
it.
shit.
You know?
Why?
Well, I didn't think they would talk about their Messiah.
We're stuck.
You know?
We're sick of this money on war. We're sick of it. Sick,
Well,
sick,
that's
sick,
what Democrats
sick
are
of it.
good for.
Ay,
They've
ay.
been like
oh
that.
yeah, right. But that's why Bush. Now listen to this one. Bush. That's why we
He was
spent
a
20
rhino.
years in.
He was a rhino. His father is too. Old Pappy.
I don't.
Old Pappy George.
I'd
Remember
like
him
to-
with Oliver North?
I'd like to finish with. Do you
Remember
have?
old Pappy George? And remember what he said? Oh, the New World Order. You remember that back in 1990, I think it was. 33
Old
years
story.
ago.
So Carolyn
I'd like
said
to-
she
Brought
wanted
that up.
to
We're
finish
getting-
something.
Well,
We're
I just
working
wanna-
towards the New World Order. That's
Yeah,
what
they've been
old
saying
man-
that.
I just want to close with. I don't work
He's a
at the
demon.
in the White House, so I really can't tell you what's going on.
Yeah. I think a lot of
Those
people are
who
waking up
do
knowing what's
should
going
spill
on.
more
they're-
beans.
Thank God for the news. Thank God for Alex Jones. Thank God for people who are telling the world.
Like you and me.
Yes.
Michael Moore. I like what Michael Moore talks about.
At times he's a relative. He's
Yeah.
relative.
There's a
I've
lot of
seen
good
some
books.
things from him.
There's a lot of good books, but you know, it takes time to read. So if you have if one person will, I go to the new book section and I read what's current and keep up on what's going on politically. If you have a little if everybody reads one book and then you have a little study session, you can share the highlights of the book. That's a
Oh
nice
yeah,
way.
we could do that as a podcast.
That's a nice way to do something like that.
All right, thank you for joining us on Dougie's Political Hour.
Bless you all.
We had Jim back on.
God.
We had Carolyn on. This was a good
Didn't
episode.
leave.
We'll see you all.
Thank you.
We'll see you all maybe next month or 2 months from now. It'll be nice to have another podcast at a family gathering.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen.
Peace on earth.
See you guys next time.
This episode was brought to you by Nicole and Dave. Go Sports. For all your latest information surrounding the world of sports, talk to Dave.